What's good, guys? LM7 here, back for the final comparison of the 2016 summer line. This time we're going to be looking at the final set in the wave, which is Captain Rex's ATTE. We're going to be comparing it to the 2013 version of the ATTE. Now, if I do recall, the old ATTE, it's not super old, but this lovely one right here, had 799 pieces and was $89.99. While the new one has 972 pieces and is $119.99. So 200 piece, almost, yeah, it's about 200 piece increase and about $30 increase. So just take that into account. There's several things change between this one and the last one. And just like the turbo tank, they basically remodeled the entire set. Like, you might be thinking, well, you know, that's an ATTE and this is an ATTE, so they didn't really change too much, but they really did. And when I start showing some stuff, then you will obviously see. So I will start with the thing I started with on the turbo tank as well. Starting with the handles. This handle is similar to the newer one, in the fact that it uses Technic beams, which is always lovely. But the newer one is built exactly like the clone turbo tank and is slightly wider, which gives it an easier time picking up the walker. So that's nice. That's a good improvement, actually. Alright, so I don't even know where I want to start with this craziness. I guess we'll start with the guns, because those are fairly easy to see. So, can we even see the full walker? No, we cannot. Let me just move this back just a little bit so we can see this one and this one. Alright, there we go. So, looking at the two guns, you can see that this is all black with a little bit of the dark red Republic coloring and then some light gray here, whereas they completely remodeled the gun. They changed everything. So you can see that the ends are completely different. They both spin, by the way. That feature didn't change. But looking at them, actually, I can bring them up slightly closer so we can see a little better, I think. You never really know. I mean, these sets are just big, so kind of harder to see. But if I spin the guns like this, we can kind of see a little better. So you can see this ends, the older one ends with a Technic pin and the newer one ends with a cone. So you can tell that they've completely remodeled the way the gun looks anyway. Just by looking at this, this is the same. They use 3 cross-axle adapters, but on this one they actually use 4. So you might think the old gun is longer, but in reality they're about the same size due to this section right here. This is really the only section of the ATTE I don't like. It's because they added this spring-loaded shooter up there. I don't love that, but whatever. So obviously the old ATTE didn't have spring-loaded shooters. It had 2 flick-fire missiles on either side. And going off of the older one, it's just hard because there's so many legs. So if we spin them both like this, we can see the, it's actually focused, here we go. We can see the sitting arrangement. This is a brown little chair. And, you know, obviously it has a little sun visor over it. Whereas this one is actually just a standard version. There's no studs. The minifigure just kind of sits up there. Personally, just going off of this, I love the way this gun looks. I wish they would have just left that the same. I know this looks older, looks like it's been aged, and it has, but they could have just, you know, removed a couple pieces and kept the same gun shape. But apparently Captain Rex has changed the gun drastically since then. So, along with that, I'm just going to take off this huge section right here because it's unneeded. And since we're done talking about the gun, basically this big section, instead of looking all weird with ladders and plates coming everywhere, The older one looks just like this. You know, this section stores 4 more missiles underneath. And that's kind of similar to the newer one where it stores 2 flick-fire missiles in the same section. Just there is nothing in the older one where the newer one just has this. So I'm going to take that out. And I'm actually just going to take this off. There's no need to keep it on, just because it'll get in my way throughout the course of the comparison here. Alright, so now that we've taken those 2 off, we can look a little bit at the front ends of each model to see what they've changed. It's hard because I want to keep all these legs from getting all tangled up. Anyway, it's hard because these wide legs are annoying. Anyway, let's see if I can do it like this. There we go. So, looking at these 2 walkers side by side, I'll show you their length comparisons in just a second. But you can see that the older one is actually a little taller than the newer one. Like they've, I don't know, the cockpit is not as big. The opening, they both open, obviously. Actually, this one doesn't open, if I recall. This one just comes out like this. So that's how that opens, whereas the newer one, they gave you an opening feature and this little lovely chair section. So that's just the inside. Neither one of the insides of the walker where the minifigure sits is super detailed or anything like that. And we can just push that back. But they both use the little iron bars here on the front, which I do like. I personally like how the older one makes the front look. If we back it up a little bit, just this red section right here, I just like the way that looks. This one does look nice too. It's just they took some of the details off and changed it ever so slightly. And it's going to be hard to show every single thing because, like I said, they remodeled the entirety of the set. But looking right this, just looking at the front, you can see it has 4 guns on the front, like a standard walker should. And the new one replaces the 2 bottom guns, obviously, with all of this walking platforms with lights and yada yada yada. All that fun stuff that you want your walker to have. Not really. Personally, I don't love all the junk, but it does make the set look interesting. So, we focus out just a little bit. So there is that. Now, let me show you a length thing, or I'll try to show you a length thing. Might be slightly difficult to do so, but I will try. Just to show the length differences, if I put the legs at the same spot, it doesn't matter about the middle legs. But you can see with them just like this, you can see that the older one, like I said, is taller, because you can clearly see over the top of this model. But the older ATTE is actually longer as well. Like the body of the walker, if you removed this front paneling, like the whole front paneling, if it was gone, you'd just see complete the other walker. And you can kind of see it right here now, like this section right here goes past. So, there is that. Now, let's look at the armor plating, which I'll probably only have to show once because they kept it the same mostly. So here's the armor plating on the old one, here's the armor plating on the new one. The newer one has it tilted more inward a little bit, just slightly. So it's built slightly differently. And it's actually shorter. Like here you can see 1, 2, 3 studs, here's 4 studs, and then here is 7 studs. Here's the 7 studs here, here's the 4 studs here, and then the 3. So there's an extra 2 studs on each armor plating for the older walker, which gives it that extra bit of length. And then obviously this has the Republic decals and stuff on it, and then this one just doesn't have it anymore because it's, you know, repurposed. But Now. I actually want to take off this big section from the newer one because of the fact that it's definitely not on the older one. The older one just has the same kind of armor thing going on. Just plating. Just so I can show like the insides of the walker. But here's something that I did want to show. It's kind of hard for me to actually show this particular thing, but we will try. Apart from the rusted leg, we can't actually see the legs. Darn. I'll have to move them back just a little bit. It's hard because these sets, like I keep mentioning, are very large. Anyway, looking at the legs, we'll start with the first leg right here. So you can see it has gray, dark gray for the feet, and then the light gray dish above it, and then dark gray, light gray. Well, the new one, the foot is the same, but then this is light gray, and then this is still dark gray, and then these are actually inverse colored as well. I mentioned that in the review, and that's weird. I don't know how over time the colors inverse themselves on the legs of the walker, but they did. And you can clearly see that. Like this section of the leg and this section of the leg are inverse colors. It's not anything crazy. It's just strange to me that they wouldn't just match the legs completely. That being said, just looking at the middle leg here and then the middle leg here, you can tell that this one's a little bigger because the armor plating doesn't cover this middle leg at all, whereas this armor plating is much closer and does actually cut off some of the armor plating. This I like a little better, that the plating is closer together, but overall that one does the armor better, in my opinion. But going on to the middle leg, you can see the detail is now gone, like the printed detail, that's gone. Who knows why. And just overall, this leg is way bigger than this leg. Apart from the obvious inverse colors again, this here, I can actually take these legs off because they're only on cross axles, so they're easier to put back on. And like I stated before, they don't even support the weight of the walker at all. So this is the old leg and this is the newer leg. So you can clearly tell that they are very different, even just in build. Like I mentioned, the feet are exactly the same, but then you start looking at how the legs are built. This is the newer one, this is the older one. You can see how much bigger the older one was compared to the newer one. And that's weird. But overall, that general shaping of the body, as you can tell from here and there, is about the same. Not much different there. So we'll just connect those legs back on real quick, just so the walkers don't look weird. And that goes around for the entirety of the 6 legs. Obviously, the new one has the rusted leg in the back, which is different than the older one. And these other middle leg on the other side of the new one has gray foot, which I don't know why, but again, I don't care. That must have something to do with aging. So, let's take a look at the backs of our walkers, which is where some huge differences occur and how the set starts to be completely different than the other ones. Now, the other one, the older set, obviously opens up like this and you can open it however you want. The newer one, however, doesn't do that at all. It just has this door. So that whole paneling is completely different. And obviously you can put some minifigures in here if you really want to. You don't have to. But this was meant just to keep this gun section together. The newer one took those guns off. They're gone. Non-existent. You don't know what they are anymore. And now it's the living compartment for the new ATTE. So, just looking at it like this, you can see that this is very squares-like. So it's now like a a living facility more than I want to show something, but I don't really know how I'd get to it. Not like that. Not like that. So if I take this off, I can move the plating just a little bit. And we can see a little bit of, like, here's a piece that is not even in the older one whatsoever. I wish this thing would move, but I can't move that because it's actually just in the superstructure of the set, like I mentioned. So if I turn like this, you can see that, it's very square-like, other than the armor plating. And then they have this piece. And then the older one, if I just take that armor plating off, not exactly how I wanted to take the armor plating off, but, oh well. The older one is pretty much just built like the front half. Both halves are almost identical when it comes to building them, except that the front side is meant to hold the flick-fire missiles and the back side is meant to hold some minifigures. Like, there's nothing you can put in the front side. So, I'm just put those lovely armor platings on. Basically what I'm saying is they really redid the ATTE since the 2013 version. Like, it's a completely different set now. I don't know how this goes back on. Something like this. Something like that. I'm going to take this off instead. Of course I have a problem putting it back together. Taking it apart is not an issue, apparently. Alright, there we go. So there's that. And I will put the armor plating back on the newer one. And then this little piece goes back on here. Alright. So, the last main thing I want to show is the inside of both walkers. But let me just show the underside of this one first. So this is the new walker. The feet are slightly different, and I will get to how. I said they're exactly the same, but like the bottoms are slightly different. You can see this large piece here that is not even thought to be used in the older one. So if we pick the older one up, this is how the underside looks. There still is a ladder. It's changed slightly. This one looks a lot more skeletal because they put more time into the armor plating and the front section, where the newer one is much more, put together. Like, there's a lot to the actual body now of the set, and it's not just all armor plating surrounding everything. Alright. So, we saw what was in the backside of this walker, so I don't need to show it again. Nothing, really. But, looking at it in the inside, this is just the, whatever. I guess I'll open it. Might as well. Doesn't hurt. That's the inside of the back. It's just mainly to store some troops and to keep the back platings on. Where the newer one, the front half is still mainly not used for anything, but the back side is changed completely. As you can see, it's a square now, like I mentioned, and minifigures go inside now, and that's where Captain Rex and his clone friends live. So that is that. So basically, they're two totally different sets. Yes, they're both all-terrain tactical enforcers, but LEGO completely redesigned it when it comes to this newer one compared to the older one. And that's also how there's 200 more pieces now. Does it justify the huge price increase from the last one? Maybe not. But the Rebels TV show must be doing great, otherwise they wouldn't keep popping sets out like they do. Now I'm going to put everything back together, hopefully. We can get a last final look at the two sets. So while I do this, I will say what I think. Personally, I like the Republic version better, but that's just because I like the Republic style anyway. Not that the new one is bad in any way, shape, or form. It's a very nice set. I do say so myself. It is a very nice set. it's very unique. I will give that. I'm glad that it is another ATTE, but I mentioned previously that I was going to try and find a way without, taking several thousand pieces and changing it back into a normal ATTE. It's just not possible. It's really not. It's much too modified to be changed back into a regular walker. So, if that's what your goal was, then it's not going to happen. But if you just want Captain Rex's ATTE for fun, then it's a great set to get. And even if you have the other one, you can make like a mock scene where, I don't know, you can rip a couple legs off the newer one and Captain Rex's walkers walking past, some more junked walkers, and maybe they live in a couple broken down ATTEs. Maybe one of these is just chilling, broken down, but they haven't added stuff to it yet. Who knows? Who am I to judge how you guys play with your stuff? But anyway, that's it for this comparison and for all of the 2016 sets. So, just to wrap up, we looked at the new X-Wing, which is basically a carbon copy of the black one, but different in its own right. Then we looked at the A-Wing and Darth Vader's TIE Fighter, and they're both completely different than their older versions. And then we looked at the turbo tank and this set, and they're different as well. So I feel like even if you have any of the previous sets, this new wave will not disappoint you in any way. Maybe you might be disappointed in the turbo tank because it's too small, but I wouldn't get too hung up on that. Anyway, if you enjoyed the video, leave a like. I appreciate it. Or not, I don't care. It doesn't really bother me. But tell me what you think about this one too. And then stick around for whenever the exclusive Rebel Combat Frigate is released. And I will review that, of course, as well. And then we'll look forward to Rogue One and the Death Star. But other than that, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys later.